Hello, this is Slingshot120 and welcome to my dream car video. And just to start off with this video, when people ask me what I want for a dream car, because they know I like cars, so an easy question is like, hey, what's your dream car? Is it a Ferrari, a McLaren? Like, I have three categories here of the attainable supercar, the one that, depending on where the market goes, like, it could become an attainable supercar, our dream car. And then you have the ones that are like, okay, you know for a fact that no matter how much money you have, you're never going to be able to get one of these. Like, they are the dream car. So to start off with, like, cars that, three of these cars on the list, because the one I already have, my main goal is to get the truck, keep my car, and get one of the three cars I'm about to say. Like, that is my main goal right now. Like, that's my end game right now. But otherwise, to start off this list, we have the C7 Corvette. The only reason I don't just say any Corvette is because when I look at the C5s and C6s and back past them, they look pretty bland. Like, they're just too smooth for my liking. Like, just the way that, like, the back has, like, no spoiler at all. It's just, like, a little tiny bump. I've just never been a fan of that, but then when they came out with the Z06, or the Stingray even, with the, track pack, I think it was, where it's got, like, the Z06 black splitter, that just looks so good. So, any C7 Corvette, preferably, my dream spec would be a black ZR1 with the big wing and the 8-speed auto and the gold bronze interior bits, whatever color that's called. Now I was gonna say I only say black because, that's a better color for putting wraps on it, so I could go between, the colors I would otherwise have it in. But if I had to pick one color and I could never wrap the car, it would definitely be Sebring Orange, because I've actually seen a ZR1 in Sebring Orange, and no camera, like, that's when I learned, no camera can ever do a car sound and color justice, ever, because the way a Sebring Orange Corvette looks compared to in videos, like, it's completely different. Otherwise, the second car is the 5th and 6th gen, any V8 Camaro from the 5th and 6th gen. Preferably, my absolute top pick would have to be between the 5th gen ZL1 before they went to the Z28 style taillights. So practically a 2012 or 2013 ZL1. Or a brand new SS, because I actually really like the way those look. Like, I never really had a problem with it when they came out, because I know it was like the whole internet meme of, ew, it's ugly, but I actually never really minded the way it looks. And now I actually really like it. Otherwise, it's the second pick is the 6th gen ZL1. Because, from a technological and just a car standpoint, yes, it is a way, way better car. But I just like the way the 5th gen looks a lot more. Like, it's a lot more sleek and angry looking, while the 6th gen just looks like that, but way more overdone. And if you can't tell, like, I either like things when they're extremely over the top ridiculous, or really conservative and, like, basic looking. Otherwise, my third car would have to be any S197 Mustang. So basically after the SN95, from that generation to now, so including the 2020 GT500, that would have to be my third, because, those Mustangs are just good looking. Like, my favorite would probably have to be the 2013 GT or the Boss 302, because those cars just look sick. Like, I've actually seen a couple Boss 302s from this generation, and they are just so, like, they're just bold. Like, it looks like a true muscle car. And they sound freaking awesome. Like, I only got to hear one because the other two I've seen are always parked. But the third one, he actually did a pull for me because I gave him a thumbs up and he just did a pull away from a stoplight, and it sounds freaking amazing. But otherwise, second pick would have to be the new GT500 because it's practically the Mustang equivalent of a ZR1. Like, you know, it's fast as hell in a straight line. Like, it's practically a supercar level car that's not even considered a supercar, because if you look at the times the new GT500 is doing in like straight line speeds, it's practically on par with a ZR1. And, you know, not to say that, like, you know, the Corvette's slow or anything, because, you know, if you look at the tests, the new Stingray, the mid-engine C8, is faster in a straight line than the GT500. You gotta keep in mind, both ZR1 and GT500, they are primarily track cars, so they just have a ton of downforce keeping them, you know, holding them back in a straight line. But otherwise, yeah, basically Corvette, Camaro, Mustang, those are my three attainable dream cars. Otherwise, for a truck, because, you know, let's be honest, if you have project cars, the smartest move to ever do is get a truck. Otherwise, my main truck I'd want to get would have to be the new Duramax. And if you want to know which, like, options I'd want, just look up Street Speed 717 and his 2020 Duramax, because that's exactly, like, to a T, that is exactly what I would get. Mainly because Duramax trucks, like, just the fact that now they make, like, what, four, like, almost 500 horsepower and almost 1,000 pound-feet of torque, like, that's more than enough to tow around a car. And it's in not even, like, a dually truck. Like, that's a standard pickup truck size. Like, it's the 2500. It's not, like, an F350 with dualies. It's actually a decent-sized truck. And, for the keeping car, because, you know, like, this, it is a dream car, but, like, I already own it. So, you know, it's technically, like, a dream project car, which I don't even think half the stuff I'm about to say you can even do to it, but, if you don't know, I own a 2008 Golf R32, and I love the car to pieces. Like, I am never selling that at all. Like, if it broke right now and I can't afford to fix it, well, it's just gonna sit in the street, I guess, until I can fix it, because I'm not getting rid of it. But otherwise, I'd want to do the, okay, so if you don't know about VR6s, you basically can't board them out because the way the cylinders are, so you basically have to get a bigger motor. So I'd do what is called the R36 swap, which is a 3.6 liter VR6, which Volkswagen still uses an SUV, so it's not like the engine's gonna be hard to find like some people say. So I'd want to do an R36 swap, possibly supercharge it, not turbos, because I like the whole, you know, it's a V6, so it's instant torque, like you're not waiting for a turbo to spool, so I'd want to, you know, keep that characteristic of it. Otherwise, I'd want to do a 7-speed DSG, because one of the problems with the R32 right now is when you're going 70 down the highway, you're at like 3 grand. So, you know, if I literally had like a 7th gear, it would make the car a little bit quieter on the highway. Otherwise, I'd want to get rid of the Holodex all-wheel drive and replace it with actual Audi Quattro all-wheel drive, because I have driven an Audi car. Now, I don't know how much you can compare these two, because, you know, I'm talking about a front-engine 250 horsepower Golf to a 610 horsepower R8, but the R8, just to the fact of its all-wheel drive, felt so much lighter, like you were driving a rear-wheel drive car. Like, I can see why people say Quattro is the best all-wheel drive system ever. And otherwise, besides the all-wheel drive, the transmission, and the engine swap, I just want to completely strip the interior and do like a full custom leather Alcantara, like, full interior. Because, like, my interior's in good shape, but it's like, you can tell this is like one of the places where they cheaped out with the car. Like, it's just, like, I call it German pleather. Like, whenever people get in my car and they start, like, scratching the seats, I'm like, don't you rip my German pleather? So otherwise, like, I'd want to get some Alcantara buckets and just make the thing, like, the ultimate Golf. You know, something that, like, Volkswagen would do from factory. but not like completely over the top. Like, you know, you can tell this is like a fully built car. Like, I'd want to keep it somewhat Golf-like. Otherwise, we get to the second category of maybe I can get this in the future, depending on, you know, job outcomes, like what I do for a living. And, you know, especially now with like the C8 Corvette coming out, the used car market's probably going to go, like, the used car market on certain cars is probably going to plummet just for the pure fact that the C8's Corvette is just a better all-out car than two of the cars on this list. Yeah, I wrote down the second one. Otherwise, you know, some of these are like, you know, maybe I can get it one day, but otherwise, the first three are McLaren's. It's the 720S, the 570S, and the 12C. And on all three of these cars, I wrote all I'd ever want to do to them is turbo exhaust and tune, because that's all you need to do to make those things go from fast to really, really fast. Otherwise, those three McLarens are my favorite, like the 650 or the 675, whatever they call them. Just all the other McLarens look kind of funny looking. They look like mini P1s, which not to say the P1 looks ugly. I love the way a P1 looks, but like out of the my top three McLarens are 720, 570, and 12C, because they just look so, they're really Porsche-like in a way. Like, they're really conservative on styling and quiet and really, really fast, like a Porsche. Otherwise, the next car is the Audi R8 V10, mainly because I drove one, so I know they're really, really fast. And actually, like, just because to the fact of when people compare, like, the R8 to the Gallardo or Huracan, they say the R8's much more of a daily friendly supercar from, like, a height standpoint, because I fit in the R8 perfectly. Like, that car just felt so good to sit in. Like, it almost felt calming going 100 miles an hour. Otherwise, if I ever get an R8, I'm gonna supercharge it, just for the same reason I said I'd supercharge my Golf, just to keep like the whole naturally aspirated feel. Like, you know, I don't want turbo lag. Otherwise, to the next car, I'd want the between these two AMG products, I'd want either the AMG GTR, the new one, because those things are just absolute monsters and they sound ridiculous. Like, any AMG V8 is just gonna sound stupid loud. Otherwise, besides that, I'd pick the old SLS AMG Black Series, because I just like the way those things look. Like, they just look so sleek and menacing. Like, they took a basic looking car, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, okay, SLSs don't look basic, but to me they did. They looked kind of meh, and then they took that, put on a spoiler, gave it a bright yellow color, and I'm like, okay, this is the best looking car ever. Otherwise, now we move on to Porsche. I'd want, like, you know, between like the 911s, I'd really want any 911, because they're all good cars, but if I had to pick my favorite, it's probably the new 911 GT3, not the RS. Like, I'd want the little wing for more of like a street car look. And otherwise, if I could, which I know this is probably never gonna happen because those cars cost 400 grand, but the GT2 RS in orange, because I saw Savage Garages on their channel and I never knew those cars came in orange, and it looked like one of the best 911s I've ever seen from factory. But, you know, like, the odds of those cars even dropping price, I feel like, is non-existent. But otherwise, there's actually a truck on this list, because yes, this truck is actually expensive as hell. But otherwise, it would be an F650 or 750 Ford pickup truck. Which, yes, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Slingshot, that's a work truck that doesn't come with a bed. But if you didn't know, and if you don't watch Doug DeMuro, he did a review on this truck, but there's a company that essentially takes those trucks, puts a bed on it, and calls it a super truck. Which, when I knew these trucks existed, like, you know, the really, really big diesel trucks. which they're just so freaking, like, I'd want to own one. Like, not even just for like a I'm bigger than you, what's the word I'm looking for, like I'm bigger than you kind of like whole standing point. But no, like if I have enough money to afford this truck and I have one of these cars, I'd want to throw the car on a trailer and go to a track and trailer the car to a track. And for that, I'd want to use a big truck. And plus, like, it'd just be a good touring car probably. Like, just sit on the highway doing 60 with like 100 gallons of diesel in the tank. Like, you could go cross country in that thing. And I just punched the desk because I had my hand up like I was driving a car. Otherwise, the last supercar I'd want to, like, I could probably get, and, if you're wondering what two cars I was talking about that the C8's gonna really drop the price of in the used car market, the first one was the 12C, otherwise I guess the other two McLarens might get affected too because reliability issues and they're as fast as a C8, but otherwise it's the new NSX, mainly because from a view standpoint, I just love the way that car looks. Like when they came out with the Jester and GTA, which was quintessentially like the NSX, I freaking loved it. Now, I am not disappointed in the way they built that car. I'm just disappointed in the way that they took it because, like, they kind of did what Volkswagen does with the Rs. They basically, like, they say, hey, we want you to make a sports car, the Golf R or the NSX. And then when they make said sports car, they're like, hey, these sports seats and steering wheel, they aren't daily friendly. Put a steering wheel in from a standard car into there. And it's like, you told us to make a sports car, not a daily driver. So yeah, I feel like the NSX just got held back by Acura because it's like, you're making a supercar that, correct me if I'm wrong, it came with all-season tires on it, and you couldn't even get R tires. Like, you couldn't even get a race slick from factory. And then they have, like, snow mode. It's like, if you can afford a 300 grand sticker price supercar, you have an SUV you're gonna go take out in the snow. Like, they just tried to make a race car a daily driver, and they completely fucked it up in every way. And literally, like I wrote, because like the way I wrote it, I literally had like, I have like an arrow next to these cars, and I'm like, I'd turbo it, I'd supercharge it. Next to the NSX, I have a unfuck it up build, because like I'd completely take out like everything that they messed up, because it should be like one of the best supercars, but it's just not. Like, Acura messed it up. And otherwise, we're on to the third category of, it's not like money orientated, it's more or less like you're never gonna find these cars. And like you're never gonna find them. Which that is the Koenigsegg 1-to-1. This was actually like the one car that made me really fall in love with Koenigsegg as a brand. Because before that, I just saw them as they're just throwing a lot of power in a mid-engine car. But then when they got to the 1-to-1, I'm like, because like, I was looking at it from a Forza standpoint. Then when I spent basically like 100 hours in a 1-to-1 in Horizon 3, because that was a free car I got, I absolutely fell in love with it. Like, I love everything about the 1-to-1. And the second one would have to be the Porsche 918 Spyder, because out of the three hybrid mega cars, if you would call them, the 918 is just my favorite, just from like a looks standpoint and a sound standpoint. And the fact that you can take the roof off the car and it gets like 90 miles a gallon or something like that, it's just the better of the three, I feel like. And it's also faster around a track and quicker off the line, so you're basically going to outrun a P1 and a LaFerrari on the streets. So otherwise, the third one, and this may or may not change because this car doesn't even, okay, it does and it doesn't exist. I'm not sure, because the way it looks like they're just testing cars, but half the time it looks like they're actually finished production cars. That's the new Koenigsegg Jesko, which I know nothing about besides it's got a 3-clutch transmission, and supposedly when they get to the a Gera RS equivalent of it, it's gonna go over 300 miles an hour by a lot. So yeah, definitely the Jesko. I really like the way it looks. And otherwise, I say these are absolute dreams that money can't solve, because if you really think about hypercar ownership, you don't just put, like, when you're done with your Koenigsegg that's worth like $2 million, you don't just put that on like Craigslist or Auto Trader. No, you go to your Koenigsegg friends in your Koenigsegg group and you go, hey, I know you want my 1-to-1. You want to buy it? Like, it's basically never going to leave a group of people. So, like, the odds of even finding one to buy is just like 1 in a million chances. So that's why I call them dream cars, because you can only dream that like every circumstance is going to be correct. But otherwise, that's going to be the end of this video. My voice is absolutely dying if you can't tell, because I'm trying not to make any other noise but talking. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.